The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you along with Levi Solicitors, who will offer you a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. 15% on wills, conveyancing, and
I don't know.
probate, Michael.
Probate. Okay.
That's the word that you were thinking of. That's until the end of January, by the way. So if you are planning to move house or get the house on the market in the new year, levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Dan, Michael and Moscow White here for the World Cup Diary. Moscow staring down the barrel of the camera on the video version. It's on YouTube. It's on your podcast feed. And
I'm looking down your lug holes if you're listening on the podcast.
How's your chair feeling? Is it nice and warm?
It's fine.
Good, yeah. Phil Hay was sat in it a little while ago. We just recorded the rest of the World Butter Cup to decide who in a head-to-head tournament is going to be crowned champion, and it threw up a bit of a surprise, didn't it?
When he, to stick with the subject, when he sits on this chair, does his kilt go around the surface so that he's bare buttocked upon the seat, or does he tuck it under like a pencil skirt?
Tuck what under?
The kilt.
Oh, the kilt.
Okay.
No, he lets it, and he puts the lotion in the basket.
He's very courteous. He brings a bin bag to sit on.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that, peeling yourself off it afterwards. If you want to watch/listen to the World Butter Cup, it's over on the Extra Ball, our members podcast, bonus stuff. It was on bloody loads this month. We did about 25 podcasts as well following the World Cup tournament. Thesquareball.net/plus, loads of other perks as well. Dedicated podcast feed, you get it all ad-free. All that kind of jazz, loads of back catalogue issues of the mag, and a daily email from Moscow. And that, in Moscow's hand, final selling point for now, is the issue 4 of the mag. It's not even a mag, is it? It's a bookazine.
Show them the spine.
Yeah, they always end up being big when we go for a spine, and it's 100 and then loads more pages, 106, 114, and then the covers. And if you are a subscriber, you just pay normal price for that. If you're not, we charged an extra 50 pence. So really,
we should say it's included in the subscription. If you're already getting the mag, don't buy it again unless you want another copy. Yeah.
We're just sending you because you
just
bought a subscription.
Just sucking up that bloody cost. That's what we're doing.
So that's an extra thud on your doormat there. Like,
it's got loads of World Cup flavour stuff in there. There's a deliberate mistake we've put in there to test people, which we won't tell. Don't tell anyone what it is. You've got to find it.
You've got to spot it and then keep it to yourself.
If you find it, whoever finds it first, we could send them a Patrick Bamford mug, because we've got fucking loads of those. Cannot get rid of them.
Yeah, choose between a Pat Bamford and a Dan James mug. Did you say somebody bought a Rafinha one?
Someone did buy a Rafinha one.
I think that's great. The more people who buy Rafinha, Dan James and Pat Bamford mugs, the less we'll have to look at. That's great all round.
And the Pat Bamford mug has got a nice England vibe to it as well.
Very topical of the minute. And we are here to talk about the actual World Cup. We'll get onto the Leeds stuff because we brought home a trophy in the... Can you say this, Michael? Because I know you're a...
Leeds have won a trophy and we're not opening on it. I mean, can you believe it?
That's how used to winning trophies we are now. It's the Festa del
Elks. Festival of Elks.
The Elk Festival.
Yeah.
We'll do that in the second half of the show. Let's wrap up where we are with the World Cup, because we are doing the World Cup Diary at the minute. Last time we spoke, I think we were midway through the last 16 fixtures. They've all been settled now. The ones we hadn't covered, I think, were Japan, Croatia, Brazil, South Korea, Morocco, Spain, which Morocco won on penalties, and then Portugal 6, Switzerland 1. A couple of funny things in there. Ronaldo being benched and Portugal being miles better without him.
It's the way his life's going at the moment, isn't it? He desperately wants to be central to stuff, but as soon as he isn't, it just gets loads better.
Nobody needs him.
They don't.
Nope.
And you've got a tribute shirt.
Yeah, Ali Byrne made this.
Yeah, Ali Byrne, illustrator, and is it of David Batty sidearming?
Yeah, it's inspired by Ronaldo's first visit to Elland Road when he had the misfortune or the luck, some would say, of meeting David Batty. And he put him right in his place. And I would I think almost to perhaps bookend Ronaldo's career, I think Batty should get to have another go at him. Just instead of maybe if Portugal get to the World Cup final, Messi scores the winner, Ronaldo has to sit on the bench and they don't bring him on, and then just out of nowhere, David Batty just appears and just breaks his nose. Just to really put the finishing touches, and then he can go back to, he doesn't have a club. He can just go back to his money. See how he likes that.
There's such a wonderful contrast between the two, aren't there, as characters? Because Batty doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks about him. Never has.
No, was never asked about football.
Whereas Ronaldo is desperately trying to cement himself as the best player ever, isn't he? And he will stop at nothing, even if it does involve forcing himself into a team that have no need for him anymore.
Interesting choice of words. Japan against Croatia, that went to penalties.
Japan.
I know.
It was such fun to that point. Why did you take such awful penalties?
Well, we could say the same, though, about Morocco-Spain, but it fell the other side of the line, didn't it? Because I think just about everybody, apart from the Spanish, was probably cheering on Morocco at that point, just for something different to happen. You know, regardless of what you think about any particular federation or nation, it was just nice to see something else happen that didn't go to form.
Got really invested in that game in a way that I didn't expect to. I think because I never thought there'd be an upset, and then as you creep ever nearer penalties, it was the Spain chance in the last minute of extra time where it looked like it had really opened up from there was a ball to the far post, and he hit the shot, and I went, no! And it just clipped the post and went wide. But you don't want to feel robbed of penalties either at that point, do you? When you've gone that far at 0-0, you're like, at least give us the drama.
Although the 120th minute goal is always exciting.
Yeah,
unless you're on the receiving end.
I was going to say, when it's not the way you want it to go, though, it felt unfair. But Spain are shit at penalties as well, which is good.
They practiced them 1,000 times each.
Is that right?
So, what was the manager called?
Luis Enrique.
He apparently told them all to take 1,000 penalties as practice, and it seems that at least some of them, they either did or told him they did. And it did them no good whatsoever. So I think the lesson there for all of us is don't practice.
Practice doesn't make perfect.
No, it doesn't. The more you try to do something, the worse you'll get.
So just wing it.
I mean, it is the lesson we're learning from that match, is particularly even the way Spain played in it, where they were passing brilliantly and playing superbly, really, but couldn't do anything. So maybe Mixer, big lad,
rash.
Yeah, all that stuff could have worked better for them. Just throw out all the things they'd practiced doing and do stuff that they didn't know how to do, and that might have worked better.
Well, the quarterfinals kick off this afternoon, so by the time this comes out, the first game will be probably done, dusted, underway, whatever. How have you enjoyed it as a football spectacle then, as we head out of the last 16 into the quarters? It's been all right, hasn't it, I think?
Yeah, there's been some fun bits. Still shouldn't be happening now where it's happening.
I mean, ignore that for a second.
But I think
as a football spectacle,
the football's become quite. There's been some quite good bits to it, I would say, and I'm looking forward to the next games. I think I feel like I've got a slight investment in all of them, one way or another. So that's always good. It's those games when you look at them and you go, oh, really not ours who wins. I feel like something interesting might happen in all of them.
I've been mostly sort of disturbed by Martin Keown's sort of, I don't know if it's an awakening or it's something I've just noticed, but because I've kind of had them on in the background and they've been more of a sort of half listening to the games rather than really watching them in detail, like bits of commentary have leapt out. And there was a game, it was Spain actually. Martin Keown was commentating on Spain and he kept saying that Spain will punish you with their passing. Their passing will punish you. They're going to punish you with their passing, and you've got to be aware for it. He kept going on and on about punishment. And then there was, I can't remember which game he was talking about, but he was, there was a team that had been playing very defensively, and then I think they went behind and had to attack. He said, well, they've really got to take the handcuffs off now. Handbrake. And
was he talking about setting traps in one commentary as well?
There's like this whole new sort of
sex dungeon vibe?
Yeah, this kinky element to Martin Keown's commentary, which I've never really noticed before, but I'm wondering how far he's going to take it in the rest of the tournament, and also how far I can take it without being sort of quietly sick in my mouth listening to this. But
that's something Martin Keown would test.
Well, he's
it cuts to him. Yeah. Cuts to him in the commentary box for the next game, and he's head to toe in latex.
Yeah, he's gone into the boudoir there. He's vomited in his mouth and this usual standard commentary. But yes, that's really all I've taken out of the World Cup so far is just Martin Keown's alteration and paying too much attention to what he's saying. I don't know much about the football. It's been fine.
You do actually, but you're right. When you're only half watching a game, and I've done it quite a bit where it's been on in the same room as me, but I've been just tapping away doing something else on the laptop or whatever. And you kind of just get drawn in by the general energy of the commentator or co-commentator's output, don't you? Like your eyes will divert to the TV if something seems to be happening or whatever.
Well, that's where Alan McCoist is always such a joy compared to, because that's the thing with Martin Keown. There's not a lot really cuts through because it's so monotone. So if you're trying to listen for some kind of change in the match, there is no change because it's just Martin Keown's voice, and then so you start picking up on different things and the things that he's emphasising, which we've discussed. But then
bondage mainly, by the sounds of it.
Yes, whereas Alan McCoist is a bit more letting you know that something good is happening in the game. I was trying to remember what the score was in this because if it was rated off of McCoist's excitement, it probably would have been about 10-all actually, and that would probably be how most games he commentates on finishes. But Brazil scored a mere 4 with Rafinha, but they should get extra points for dancing. Not from Roy Keane, obviously, but everybody else was having a nice time.
It's amazing how much my my perception of Portugal has been coloured by Ronaldo. I really don't want them to do well because of him.
They're an awkward team to love, though, aren't they? Because there's Pepe, who's like he's been a villain for 20 years, it feels like. And then I'm aware that Wolverhampton's in the West Midlands, but all of their antics are somehow lumping with Portugal's crimes as well, which I'm aware is unfair, but they kind of are Portugal, aren't they? So I think of them as essentially a nation of cheats and time wasters, which is massively unfair because they've got some good players too.
Wolves did dress up as them.
They did,
for a while.
Cosplaying.
But then also so did Morocco. It was quite confusing because Morocco's kit could have been a Portugal kit.
Yeah, it's green and red, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also Morocco's kit. I think another reason to sort of back them to go well is because it's kind of a Portuguese version of the kit we wore in the UEFA Cup in 1999. It's the Puma with the stripe across the chest. Theirs breaks a little differently. It's a little bit more like the original Lazio number, and there were international versions at the time that's a throwback too. But it's quite nice to see them romping around in a 1999 kit.
Good.
Portugal, of course, have Bruno Fernandes as well, who's another incredibly scum-faced irritant.
Incredibly difficult man to love was the nicest way to phrase it, but I think you got it right there, Michael. Just looking to the quarterfinals, Friday, Saturday, we got Croatia, Brazil. I've been diving onto Project 538, who we've dug out a number of times for their predicting abilities, where they basically say if a team's doing well, it'll do well. If you're not doing so well, you're not going to do so well. Their algorithm has had a look at these, and the most interesting one, I guess, is the England-France quarterfinal. But Croatia-Brazil is split 77% in favour of Brazil. Then we've got Netherlands-Argentina. They reckon 58% chance of Argentina, 68% chance of Portugal against Morocco, and then England-France is split 52-48.
I don't really think that makes any sense. I know that's not news when it comes to project numbers, whatever it's called, but Morocco probably went into Spain with similar numbers and similar win probability. But the crucial thing is how they played against Spain.
Yep.
So they ended up beating them. So I don't think I need to pay any attention.
So we ignore the algorithm.
Well, yeah.
It's just interesting just to gauge where, from a statistical point of view, because they run the
I know Portugal are technically better than Morocco. I don't need somebody with a spreadsheet to tell me that. I know Brazil have got better players than... I mean, even that actually, like Croatia only have a 23% win probability against Brazil. They've got Modric and other players who are good. Like, I don't know if... And it's the quarterfinal of the World Cup. I don't know if anybody's really a 23% win probability. Croatia again? That's nonsense. How have they...
They run the simulation. It's their sport. It's called Sports Performance Index or something like that. They run the simulation thousands of times, and these are the outcomes based on the players that are in there.
I think they could probably use the time more.
Shut the whole thing down.
Yeah,
make baskets or something.
If you have to run the simulation thousands of times to come up with these results, just do something else. You're obviously wasting your time.
Get a hobby.
Yeah.
But it gives us a semi-final route of Croatia or Brazil against the Netherlands, Argentina. You got Morocco or Portugal against England or France. And just looking at the 538, basically this is what translates into the odds for the overall tournament. Brazil, it's in this.
Are one of the good teams going to win it? Do they think? Yeah, look.
Well, Brazil have got a 1 in 3 shot of winning this. Everybody else is similar below that. Portugal and England both 14%. Argentina and France 13 and 12 respectively. Then we drop to Netherlands with 7, Croatia 4, and Morocco 3% chance. of winning it based on the routes through to the final. So they simulate it all through to the final. Look at his face. Look at his angry face.
Weren't Croatia in a final a couple of years ago?
Yeah, where they beat England in the semi-final.
Yeah, and then they got to the final of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And now they've got a 4% chance of winning it because they're playing Brazil, which seems to be the thing is, oh, no, they'll never get past Brazil, they'll never get past Argentina. Well, they might. I think I'll give them a better chance than 4%. Well, a better chance than 9% of getting to the final.
Do you give what percentage chance do you give England of beating France? I think 50% is about right on that. I have to say
52-40. Yeah, that's what I found it interesting because it's the one that's judged closest on the basis of the two teams.
I think it's possibly indicative of how I view England differently to Leeds. That I think England might win this, and I don't even mind saying it.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was Leeds and I thought we might win a really big game,
you jinx it.
I just wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
I tend to go, we'll lose this because...
What do you think that says about you as a person?
Don't know. Probably something bad.
And they say, so Portugal, they're giving a 14% chance of winning the whole thing. Is that Portugal with Ronaldo or without Ronaldo? Because they're very different.
Mm.
So what am I supposed to make of this? I mean, I guess, or do I just look at it and then as soon as the team's announced, just realise that every second I spent looking at any of these numbers was a complete waste of time? Because what will happen after kickoff will be completely separate to anything that these people with the maths
included these
did.
on the sheet just as a bit of a curiosity, just to see what statistics reckons versus what might happen. I don't really care, to be honest. Just
Good.
From an English point of view, I'd like England to win, and that's about it. That is going to be a good game on Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's going to be a good contest. It is a flip of a coin.
I'm looking forward to it. And if England don't win, I want Morocco to win it because it would be funny.
Yeah, what with their 3% chance?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I mean you can forget that. It can't happen.
What about you, Moscow? Are you getting engaged in this in any way?
Moscow, get yourself to a fan park and throw a pint in the air.
I mean,
I might come to your house and throw one through your window.
You get drawn into it a bit, but then there's the thing with the worker that has died during the competition and the Nasser Al-Khater, the World Cup chief executive, saying that, death is a natural part of life, whether it's at work or whether it's in your sleep. So don't ask about it. I mean, he didn't die in his sleep. He died in apparently a forklift accident while working for you. So, people die, don't they? So it's you try to... football is the great thing of you start watching it and you forget about all the any off-pitch controversy because the green triangle full of grass is like a drug, but then and you get lulled into exactly what the chief executive of the whole fiasco wants you to get lulled into, but then he can't even complete his part of the bargain by lying that he cares. He just has to say that actually no, people die. So if they're working for me when they do it, does it make a difference? He doesn't seem to think so. I think so. But yeah, England versus France will be good. Was it?
I can't remember if it was Stalin or Lenin who said you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. It's got shades of that about it, hasn't it? Which is a little bit disconcerting. But no, I mean it should make for a good Saturday night if you factor all that stuff out. I mean, I think was I was saying on last week's show that I'm due to go out on Saturday night for a few beers. We may have snow on Saturday morning, which will be an interesting twist on a World Cup.
It's not right at all, is it?
Going out to watch football, watch a World Cup quarter final, and it's snowing out.
We should have had Christmas in summer.
That's what they do in Australia.
Just to flip it. Yeah,
that's what they do in Australia.
I know they do. Yeah, I don't know why they've chosen that in Australia. They should have rearranged it really for when it's cold.
Maybe we should go to Australia to experience the Summer World Cup now. Can we get there by Saturday?
I think we can. Not on the boat though,
because our Australian listeners will be, spitting. What would they be spitting? Kangaroo fur.
And of course, they get to watch the World Cup final first, don't they? Because they're ahead.
They do.
In the time.
Well, they always have to watch it at Christmas.
I think this is our time, Tom. So yeah. So we'll get the fly to Australia, find out the result.
Yes.
Then we'll put
in the warm.
Then we can put some money on it and win some money back in wintry
it's
England.
like when Biff in Back to the Future finds the almanac.
Exactly.
This is the almanac for us, isn't it? We won't be back in a couple of weeks if we pull this off.
It's definitely. You always see it on New Year. They always do that first, don't they? And Christmas and stuff. So
yeah, they don't wait.
No, exactly.
And no respect for an embargo.
Impatient. To Leeds, Andy, say it again.
Well, it's Festa del Elche. I've discovered Elx is the Valencian, the local dialect way of saying Elche. So it's obviously they being in Valencia, people from Valencia would like to speak Valencian, and so that's it.
Right.
It doesn't help me pronounce it, but that's what it is.
Anyway, we've won that.
That was good.
Does that mean we now run the city?
Joyous scenes, weren't there, at the end, as the players surrounded a trophy, all confused, apart from Mateusz Klich.
Yeah, he made it special, didn't he? I mean, he made it special with an absolutely brilliant goal, and then kept that going all the way through to absolutely brilliant trophy celebration. So it was probably, the whole thing was worth it just for seeing him running around the pitch with a big trophy in the air and a grin on his face.
Yeah, and the players like going, go on, egging him on like a bunch of naughty school kids. Although, do you see the little clip of I think it was Luke Ayling's video, wasn't it, that the club put out, and it sounds like Luke Ayling's voice saying, "Go on, one last time." Like, does that mean is he leaving?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that either.
I'd play it now for you if you want. If you want,
No, it's fine. We'll believe you.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but why not just put it out there anyway? Did you roll your eyebrows when Somerville went off injured inside the opening 5-10 minutes, whatever it was?
Roll your eyebrows.
Yeah, and your eyes.
You raise them.
Yeah, I meant that.
I raised my eyeballs and rolled my eyebrows.
Correct.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Any bits of you moved around, rolling or raising Moscow?
My head fell off. Picture that.
Wow. Yeah, I think pretty much at the moment Somerville went off, I thought, just abandon the game. Let's not have anyone else injured. For Christ's sake.
It was tasty, wasn't it? Like some tackles flying in.
Yeah, it all felt a bit unnecessary.
Well, it's hard to judge with this. I mean, there was the tweet from Phil Hay at the end where he said that the Elche players looked genuinely annoyed that they hadn't won this, and they won it 27 times out of about 35 runs of this trophy that they have organised for themselves, and it seems like they've...
It's our trophy and we will keep it.
Well, yeah, they've organised a competition so they can win something every year, and then Leeds come along and take it off them. And
do we keep the trophy or do we have to send it back?
I guess we can have it for a year, and they normally give you a replica, don't they? So there will be a replica of that thing will be in the trophy rooms at Leeds forevermore. So that's nice. But yeah, they did seem to be taking it seriously. But that's the thing, these games always get caught in between, don't they? Because you can't tell players that cliche. You can't tell players not to put maximum effort in, because you get more injured if you're not fully committing. But then some of the commitment did seem a little bit too much like they all wanted to form an Irish blues band.
What would that band be named?
The Commitments.
Right.
You remember that film?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody listening to this under the age of 20 also remembers that film vividly. So that was going on. People were singing Mustang Sally.
Yeah, I know.
And doing it surprisingly well. Nobody expected them to sound so good, or to I suppose we did expect them to score from just like banging long diagonals over our whoever got to have to play left back this week.
Keeping it on trend, Moscow. Keeping it on trend.
Elche had done the research, hadn't they?
We were rubbish, though, weren't we?
I was going to say that the overall...
It was concerning, wasn't it? Particularly, I know we kind of got things together in the second half, but fucking hell.
Well, I mean, the wider context of this is that Elche are terrible. Like, they're well adrift at the bottom of La Liga. Haven't won a game yet.
I was going to say, how many games have they won this season?
They've had about, was it four managers or five managers?
They've had 5 managers. They've got 4 league points.
Great.
They did win
and we made them look like Brazil.
They won a game in a cup. Yeah, they were... I mean, everybody... It's maybe interesting that everybody looked knackered at full time. And they have been all... Jesse Marsh was saying this. So there've been a lot of hard training this week, getting them back from the break. So they've all been away, and then they've come back, worked hard in the warm weather, and it doesn't matter, does it? That's the thing. It's a training game, essentially. So reading too much into it is always dangerous, but it is also...
Tell that to the 20,000 who watched it on YouTube, Moscow White.
Well, yeah, but it's also true to say that...
Entertain me.
We were pretty bad.
Yeah. We weren't great, were we? But
it always worries me when because we've had a couple of breaks in this season, I've come back from them thinking, oh, we've done some stuff in training and it'll look more joined up, and then I see us play and it's like, oh, well, fuck.
That's maybe the thing with this game is that they've only been back in training a week, and we beat Preston. There was a behind closed doors friendly, and we beat Preston, so we're not total losers. And Preston I don't know who was playing for Preston, don't know who's playing for us, but they're a championship team, and
didn't we once lose 6-4 to Preston?
Yeah,
that's progress.
So we've improved, and we beat them in the playoffs, didn't we?
If we were
back in the day, I don't think it was the same Preston. I don't think John Parkin was.
I was going to say, if John Parkin was playing, we probably should be beating them.
Yeah,
given I think he's probably about 20 stone now.
But so differently. I think the thing about us looking so bad in this was that we looked bad in ways that kind of are versions of how we've looked bad in league games at times. So it didn't just look like first game back rustiness. Like the goal was the perfect example. That's always a problem. Ball sailing over the back of our fullback who is too high and has too many players to mark, and then they just run away and have a chance or score. So
we've seen that a lot, haven't we?
Well, exactly. So you can either put it down to rustiness, but then when we've not been rusty, we've been doing those things. I think at the other end of the pitch, where we basically did absolutely nothing in the first half, I'm willing to say rustiness contributed there, but you
the problem is
have more against Real Sociedad.
The problem is that you're watching it and Elche looked like they knew what they were doing, so you can't help but compare the relative performances of the two teams, and we looked like we didn't know what we were doing. You're thinking, well, if they've just come back to, why do they look good? But it don't mean anything, does it? There's just that Michael part of my brain going, well, we're fucked then this season.
And the good news is,
and I know it's silly,
when we brought Klich on and other players with him, and suddenly looked better.
Yeah.
Good job of bombing Klich out in the transfer window, eh?
I mean, it's weird because some of the things he did in the game were like the things that I think Jesse Marsch absolutely loves and wants and asks for. And I almost wondered, like, Klich seemed to be turning in like the perfect, this is what Jesse wants performance, just to annoy him. Like, you're not going to play me, but I'm going to show you that I can actually do your style of football with one arm tied behind my back. I just don't want to. That's why. So I'll do it against Elche and then prove that I can, and then you'll never see me do it again. Because there was a chance where he got to the edge of the penalty area. It's something that Marsch talks about. Is like, if you're at the edge of the penalty area, just chip the ball to the penalty spot, and things will happen. And Matteo Joseph got on the end of that and nearly scored. And it was like it was everything that sort of Rodrigo and Sam Greenwood, when he ended up playing behind him in the first half, hadn't done. So Klich comes on. It's like, I'll just sort all your attacking out for you, Marsch. See, I can do it. And now I'm going to sit on the bench. And if you want me to do it, ask nicely.
I'll do it reluctantly. Yeah.
And I will consider going on the pitch and saving your ass. If not, there may be another team that I can go and play for. But who knows what's going to...
It's been linked with DC United in the States and Royal Antwerp.
I mean, they've still got...
in Benelux.
You got it. Does anybody good play for DC United?
Do you know who their manager is?
They bombed out Rooney. No.
Is Rooney not their manager anymore? Has he gone?
He might still be.
I thought he still was.
Yeah,
might be wrong. Yeah. They've got Christian Benteke and Ravel Morrison are the two names you'd recognise from their team.
It sounds like a chuckle.
And an Irishman called Derek Williams, who was born in Hamburg and played for Villa.
I was going to say the player of the World Cup for me so far is Nico Williams. You know, to have been knocked out with Wales and then come back with Spain.
Yeah, he's done well there.
Pretty good going. So, all right, I didn't realise Wayne Rooney's still in charge. So that would be fun, I guess. Make Klich manager.
Yeah, it would work. It would work.
Club culture.
It does feel like
it doesn't say booze. It's got a picture of a big bird with a Volkswagen logo.
It does feel, doesn't it, like that one is just gradually moving towards a sad goodbye, I guess, if not now in the summer.
Well, he will leave Leeds at some point.
Yeah,
they all do.
It's just another dismantling of the promotion team, isn't it? Another removal of those. But even if they, no matter what you think, whether you think he's good enough or not good enough, fast enough or not fast enough, it's sad saying goodbye to these players.
And he's fun, he's clicking. No one else in the squad was doing that thing with the trophy yesterday. It's nice to have some characters around, which I know is not a reason to keep someone. But I suppose I feel a bit sorry for him as well, because at the start of the season, he made a couple of good appearances from the bench, and Jesse said he was going to use him, and since that point, we basically haven't, have we? And then he's not gone to the World Cup, and it feels like he's leaving, and the whole thing could have been... If he'd have known how much he was going to play, I dare say he'd have tried to force a transfer.
And what Moscow's saying as well, you start to construct these narratives in your head thinking, I bet Klich just doesn't buy into Jesse.
It's hard to say, because the fact that he's not played more is weird in a sense, because Brendan Aronson is his direct rival, and he wouldn't displace him for a starting spot because Aronson's been great. But Aronson gets tired. We see him, he gets brought off on 70 minutes quite often, and quite often the player coming on is not Klich, and then you see how well Klich can do things still. He's far from being over the hill, and why isn't it Klich that's coming on? And yeah, all the things Marsh says that he loves him and he's great and he's got a big role to play, and they had a meeting and they sorted it all out, and then it just doesn't then get backed up by him actually being used to the extent that, even a limited extent, it feels like as a squad player he's been underused compared to what I would think he could still contribute to this style of play.
I mean, elsewhere, beyond that, we've got other friendlies still to come. I guess we should do the injury update. Fixture changes as well for Telly. Women progressing in the plate, it was, wasn't it? Against two divisional higher oppositions. That's opposition from the division above. They've done it twice.
Very well stated.
Yes. Yeah, you can tell I do this professionally.
Have we mentioned the amicable resolution of the...
Well, that was my final point.
Of the dispute that went all the way to the highest court it could go to, but it was amicable.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the statement, it was a one-sentence statement on the Leeds United website. Leeds United and RB Leipzig are pleased to announce that they have reached an amicable resolution of the dispute between the clubs, further details of which are confidential to the parties. What do you think they say? You will pay us this money?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, well, according to Bild, yes. I mean, it
was
may
the
be,
German newspaper, by the way.
Yeah, and they generally have fairly up-to-date stuff coming out of Fizzy Leipzig, and their view on it was that we're paying them the full amount plus interest as agreed, but what had been sorted out was the payment terms of when it'll do, when we'll actually like Venmo it to them. So
yeah, I was going to say we're just adding some more detail to that, which is that the case that went to CAS was over the first instalment of that, which obviously would then be binding, presumably, on the subsequent instalments, because if you tested it again in the same, court, as it were, then you're going to get the same outcome. By the time it's been resolved, all three payments have become due. So we owe them basically the full amount. So presumably Leeds have said, look, we can't afford to pay you 18 million quid in one fell swoop. Will you have it over 10 years?
Yeah, something along those lines. So it's just kind of when shall we pay this? Now it's all sorted, because I don't think much as I distrust anything Red Bull, that Leipzig's aim is to kind of grind Leeds into dust. It's just to get the money at some point, and it all, when you get into when stuff goes on a balance sheet and when you have to pay tax on it and interest, exchange rates and all that kind of bollocks, is you sit down and you work out when you should hand the money over. Well,
the end to a hilarious episode in the history of Leeds United. The friendly's still to come. Sociedad a week on Friday, and then Monaco the Wednesday after that. That one's close to Christmas, isn't it? Mad Friday for Sociedad could be interesting. Do you know what ticket sales are like? Been fair to middling?
I think they've sold pretty well.
Yeah.
I've not bought mine yet, and I probably am going to go to that Sociedad game.
Yeah.
So hopefully there are some left. But yeah, I think they've been selling pretty well. It's the lack of available tickets for Premier League games probably means there's a bit of overspill into people being like, well, I'll go and watch something.
Tickets probably aren't selling as well as the tickets to our gig.
Well, you don't want to brag, do you?
But bloody hell.
They're opening up the East Stand-Upper for that one, I heard. Yeah, we're doing a football thing with football cliches, aren't we?
We are part of Leeds Lit Fest 2023. It's not till March, but I think Will there still be tickets on sale on March? Possibly only from
About a third of
scalpers outside the venue.
I was going to say
higher.
A third of the
amounts.
capacity sold within about an hour, isn't it? Which is quite exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're going to have to do some stuff to make that worthwhile out.
Yeah. have to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah,
if you want
on the
details on that, Carriage Works Theatre in Leeds have got the details, so just search for that.
Squareball.net has the
Have we
details as
got?
well.
Oh, look at that.
Our website.
Joined up.
Yeah, you'll find out stuff by that. But move quick because tickets are going out.
So we're doing something with Phil Hay to be confirmed as yet what that will look like.
Might make him dance.
Yeah, and then that'll be followed with a warm-up act, and then Football Clichés are on for a nice big sesh after that. And that'll be fun.
Yes, it's not till March, so
yeah, plenty of time.
But don't snooze on your tickets, otherwise it won't be as easy to get into as the Sociedad game. I mean, you can just bunk over a wall for that, whereas ours is in a theatre, so it's harder. It's not the Globe, there's a roof.
Injury update. Bamford had his groin surgery. We don't know where he is yet. Firpo back soon, maybe. Koch
I hope he's at home.
has had a little bit of
Is he missing?
an issue. Who, Bamford?
Yeah, you said we don't know where he is.
No, we don't. I don't. Do you?
Well, is it a question? I mean, I hadn't thought about it.
We don't know where he is in terms of his recovery.
Oh.
There's been no update.
Because, I mean, I know
he's lost.
The surgery was in Munich and
He got the wrong plane
Leeds are
home.
in Spain. And then it's like, yeah, Bamford had his surgery. Now nobody knows where he is. Is he absconded from hospital? Is he running around the streets of Munich in his
Gown?
hospital gown trying to get our European Cup back?
His bare ass flapping in the wind.
Coming for Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah, Firpo apparently back soon, but we've heard that before. Koch has had another little injury, hasn't he? Back soon, we think. Somerville, we're not quite sure yet.
It didn't look great, did it, when he was being taken off? It was when the physio looked across the bench and did a little...
Yeah.
He's done for.
Jackie Harrison
Check
went
the insurance
over
documents.
and said something to Rob Price along the lines of like, what's he done? And then whatever Rob Price went back to him, he kind of went, it was a big kind of a thing. So oh, God.
That again.
Yeah, well.
Sinistera.
Although,
we don't know about Sinistera either, do we? Is he lost somewhere? Because he was in a protective boot not that long ago, just before... When was it? Just before
the last
World
time I
Cup
saw him
break?
on anything, he still had a big boot on. So I don't have a huge amount of faith in him getting back. And
But
then
I would if I had like foot surgery, I'd hurt my foot or whatever. I probably would seek to protect it. I
And
normally
Sinistera-
go for shoes in day to day life, but if I'd given it a bit of a bang, I might put something a bit more rigid on.
Sinistera wasn't due back until, like, he's not supposed to be back yet.
No.
Nobody ever thought he was going to be back by this point. So he's not behind schedule.
no.
So don't worry.
Melier is the unknown, really, isn't it? At the
Glandular
moment?
fever, yeah.
Yeah, because that can be a very long-term thing, can't it?
I always associate glandular fever with Glyn Snodding way back in the 80s.
Charlie Taylor had it as well, didn't he? In the more recent times. He was out for quite a long time with it, so
Well, hopefully he's not too bad.
hopefully he's all right.
Robles looks okay, though. I mean, he's no
Yeah.
Melier, because Melier's absolutely just different level. But we do finally have because Klaassen, they said Melier and Klaassen are both ill. And then they've said Melier has got glandular fever. I don't know if Klaassen has also got glandular fever. In which case, Joel Robles has done very well.
And thank
to-
God
to
we signed
avoid
him.
it. But yeah, it is good because that was last season's big risk, wasn't it? Let's go through. Let's see how far we can get without an adult goalkeeper, and we did fine in the end. But it's nice to have sort of a grown-up available. And Danny van der Heuvel is back in contention, but he is also still young after his harrowing car crash.
You make it sound like a car crash may have made him older. He's still young after his car crash.
Still, well, but maybe experienced. He's been through stuff now,
that's
hasn't he? Nothing can sort of make you grow up faster. But yes, he is all right now, which is good because I mean the full story's in the Yorkshire Evening Post at some length. Yeah, quite a bad car crash, but he's okay. So we've got loads of goalkeepers. It's fine.
Yeah, looking at glandular fever, primarily spread through saliva.
Kissing disease, isn't it?
Yeah, so who's he been kissing? That's the question.
Dan James on the head.
Yeah, who's he not been kissing in Melier's case? He loves a little smack. Sorry, I sound like Martin Keown.
The smacking, no kissing for Keown, just the smacking.
Really? Is that true? And finally, the fixture changes. We've got two more games. Forest Leeds, Scum, both on consecutive Sundays at 2:00. That much loved 2:00 Sunday fixture.
I mean, us playing Scum was always going to move, wasn't it? Fine. It's one of those ones you go off.
Oh, whatever.
Whatever. At least it's not like a 12 o'clock kickoff or anything. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not really, really early.
This is true. And
It's like an eerie repeat of last season because we played Scum at Elland Road sort of mid-February as well, didn't we? Just before like going into the last week of Bielsa. And I was thinking about that game for some reason. What a mad game that was.
Was that the Rodrigo punt from wide?
Yeah, and then
Rafinha. Yeah.
And then we equalised. We scored 2 in a minute to bring it back from 2-0 down to 2-2, and the whole place went absolutely mental for about 20 minutes, and then obviously we ended up losing. But
that spell of those 2 goals and the aftermath is one of my favourite moments of the season, funnily enough, just like in terms of pure pandemonium.
Yeah. So nice if something like that happens again, but maybe with...
Stop there, though.
Yeah, we'd take a point, wouldn't we? Although, no, let's beat them, the rubbish.
And our style means we go after these so-called top six clubs, don't we?
Yeah, so those 7 days in February, well, how many will we lose to Forest by? Do we think like 6, 7, and then we'll go and beat Scum?
Now we've got our
2-0.
post-Christmas run in towards easy safety, and we'll start to think about that time. We'll be thinking about, could we do Europa Conference?
I'm going to say that's not going to be in the discussions.
You don't think so?
It's unlikely.
Well, mark me, Michael. Mark me. You never know.
What competition do you get in for winning the FA Cup?
It's Europa League.
Right.
Yeah.
So why would we settle for the conference when we could just win the FA Cup and go Europa?
True enough. I think that wraps it up for today, doesn't it? We'll have another chat towards the start of next week. Yeah, we might as well, because all the quarterfinals will be done. More Leeds stuff will be happening.
I mean, we don't need to watch the quarterfinals because Project Nonsense has told us what the result's going to be. So I don't know why we're trying to generate any excitement or jeopardy.
If they're all correct, will you apologise next week for doubting their methods?
No.
I mean, all the Methodists have gone, who's better team? They'll probably win.
And putting a number on it, we could do that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think our chances of getting into qualifying for Europe via the league, I would put at about 3%.
Right. So
there you go.
So you're saying there's a chance, and so
but you've got to run that simulation thousands of times. So guess again.
3.5%.
Now guess again.
2.5%.
Now guess again.
2.6%.
Should we do this until we're back on?
I've got a feeling you've been a little bit facetious now. That's
kind of how it works.
Is it?
So
right. Okay. Back at the start of next week then. We're going off to BBC Radio Leeds on Monday as well to record a Christmas special quiz with them as well. That'll be fun. So look out for that. That's on their podcast. Not on
We've got our own Christmas quiz coming up for TSB Plus people.
Yep. Well, we're recording that after this, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep on that festive hype train.
So if you're watching the videos and we're wearing the same clothes, maybe we should swap. I quite like your hoodie.
Could do shirts, couldn't we? Just shirts off.
Christ.
Skins.
No.
No, we want people to watch. Right, we'll see you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.